Wondering what text you send to men can accidentally kill the vibe with him? Want to know how you can keep your text moves short and sweet in the beginning to make him think about you non-stop? I've got that and some very important event dates coming up right now. Hey everybody, I'm dating and relationship coach Ryan Patrick, and I'm still very much enjoying my final few days here in Valencia, Spain with my wife. I'm actually drinking a Tinto de Verano right now, which is a very Spanish drink. It's very similar to a red sangria. The only difference is red sangria has cut fruit in it, as well as some other things like brandy and sugar and things like this. A Tinto de Verano just has red wine, it has a soft drink like a Sprite, and it has ice as well. So this is very delicious. I'm gonna take a quick sip here. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. I'd very much invite you to subscribe to the channel below with that big red button. Also, feel free to click that bell icon below to turn on all post notifications so you never miss one of my helpful Monday videos. We have a lot to cover today. This is gonna be one of my fun texting videos, but before we get to that, I'm a part of 2 online conferences this month that I wanted to tell you about. Both are free events, and one of which is starting today and is going on for the next week. So the first one is the Relationship Super Conference. I have a link down in the description below for that. I'm going to be joined with my friend Megan Gibson, and we're going to be talking about finding love post-COVID for about 45 minutes together. There's also tons of other guests that are lined up. I think there are around 60 of them. A lot of doctors, a lot of experts in the love and relationship realm. Again, I have the link in the description below for you for that. Now, the second event we've got going this month is the Attract Your Right Guy online summit, and this is done with my friends Antia and Brody. I'm joined by 20 of some of the best minds in the dating and relationship space, and on that particular conference, that online summit, also free, 100% free. You can find the link in the description below for that. That's going to run from October 25th all the way to October 31st. So on that particular summit, we're gonna be talking about texting with guys. Auntie and I are gonna get into a 45-minute discussion, and I hope you'll check that out. Again, totally free, link in the description below. I hope you like it. So with that, let's get into today's content. So let's talk about these texts that absolutely kill the vibe with guys, just completely sends the wrong message, and how we can inadvertently do this with men or women alike. So the first text I wanna talk about is the first initiation text. Now, what is this? This is if you both have each other's numbers, you're the first one to reach out to him. This is gonna kill the vibe in such a major way because you've now taken the ability away from him to pursue you. As soon as you send that first initiation text, the role completely switches. Now it's incumbent upon you to be the pursuer and stay in that role. The guy can just sit back and he literally won't do anything, and he doesn't have to do anything because you've subconsciously assumed this role. So in the beginning, when we're first getting to know a guy, we really need to let him go to work and initiate those texts with you and set up those first few dates with you. The pendulum swings the other way and things start to balance out a little bit where it's gonna be okay for you to initiate a little bit further into the process with a particular guy. Let's just say 4 to 6 weeks. So on average, if you're going on a date per week, we're talking about maybe 4 to 6 dates. He's gonna wanna see a little bit more from you. He's gonna wanna see that you're initiating, that you're maybe coming up with ideas for dates. So just be aware in the very beginning, the first initiation text is going to be a bit of a kiss of death. He's just gonna kind of look at the situation, probably wondering why you're initiating, especially if he was the one to get your number. But again, if you happened to have his number prior to him reaching out, it can be really tempting to initiate, to get the ball rolling, especially if he's dragging his feet. So just keep that in mind. Now, text number 2 is the overenthusiastic text. So if you've got a bit of a text banter going with the guy, which Of course, if a lot of you watch my other texting videos, I do not recommend this, but we want to keep it short and sweet. But if you find yourself just getting a little over enthusiastic about maybe something that he's discussing, maybe it's a common interest that you realize you two have, and you just start using a lot of exclamation points, and maybe all of your words slip to all caps because you're just so excited that he's talking about it. That's one example as common interest. Another one could be the date that he's suggesting. Maybe that's just something that is totally in alignment with what you're into, and you just think it's a really great date idea. So you're over enthusiastic about it and just rambling on and on and on about how great things are. We need to lean back. We need to lean back a little bit, ladies, when it comes to, kind of exuding and showing your enthusiasm in the beginning. The cool, calm, collected ladies are going to be the ones that really get the most favorable attention. We're just leaning back and literally letting him do the work. Okay, text number 3. That is the long paragraph text. Now, when you've got a great conversation going with a guy, you're really into him, it can feel really, really good, and as if you're actually building a bond or building something with him when you guys are exchanging personal histories about yourself, and you want to get into that storytelling mode. You know what I'm talking about, where you start writing these texts and they're maybe like 4 or 5 times longer than the text he's actually sending you, right? So we're not really calibrating the amount of information that's being exchanged. You're kind of giving him a lot more than he's giving you in the beginning. And guys are gonna pick up on that. Guys are gonna see that you're really into talking to them, which is great. That's fine. But here's the thing. The long paragraphs implies that you've got something important to say, and that information should be shared for when you see him face to face, not over text. This is date material, date information that you guys need to exchange face to face. So if you find yourself writing a long paragraph, delete that sucker, send him 1 sentence, 2 sentence, and just say, hey, I'd really love to do this in person. Looking forward to that opportunity. The 4th text, it's the emoji laden text. Okay, now some people are gonna disagree with me, but it's okay. Everyone's meant to have their opinion here, and in fact, sound off in the comments if any of these resonate with you, or if you just completely disagree with them, okay? I know emojis can be sort of a sensitive topic when we're talking about texting. The emoji laden text is a text where it's mainly emojis versus actually using words in your text. And it could be laden in the sense of having a bunch of emojis in one separate text, but it can also be using a single emoji in every single text that you sent. Like you're trying to convey an emotion, right? That's why we use emojis. So you feel it necessary to pair an emoji with every single thought you have in each text that you're sending to him. A guy is gonna see that, and he's just gonna subconsciously know that you're working too hard. You're trying too hard. And again, keeping it simple, we're keeping it to a few words, no more than 2 sentences as we have these exchanges. Less is more. Less is gonna serve you more in the texting game with guys, because again, we don't want to seem too eager. People will call this games or whatever. We're talking straight psychology here, ladies. This is just how men think and the process that they go through when they're seeking out a partner. And there's just the smallest little things can make the biggest difference, okay? So try to pull back when you're using those emojis. As you get to know a guy, you're gonna learn his preferences. He might even be sending you emojis, but let him be the first one to send off emojis, and then you can work your emojis back into your communication with him. Wow, we're already halfway. Give me 1 second. It's so refreshing. So the 5th type of text is the status check-in text. Now with this text, this is any time where you're checking on the status of your relationship with a guy. For instance, sending something like, what are we? Or where is this going? But this can also be sort of that clock management, we'll call it. If you send a text to a guy and he hasn't immediately gotten back to you, this could be a status check-in with, where the heck are you, man? I haven't heard from you. I sent this off like 15 minutes ago. Like, where you been? Those types of things where you're managing time and specifically managing his response time, these are gonna be a deal breaker. These are gonna be a mood killer. And guys just don't need you or anybody to be managing their communication flow with you. Let him show you his communication style in the amount of time it takes him to get back to you, okay? You can't change his response time. In fact, you wouldn't wanna do that. It's gonna be a waste of your time. Let him reveal his cards to you, and then you get to make a decision whether that communication flow and that timing with that particular guy is going to work for you or not. And if it's a not, that's fine. You know it's just time to move on to the next. Okay, so it's time for number 6, and I'm gonna say this is probably the single most important one. Number 6 is the self-disclosure text. Now, self-disclosure is a simple process in which we disclose information about ourselves to another person, typically in a more intimate sort of conversation, okay? So I wanna clearly identify that self-disclosure could be just you revealing things about your past to a man, okay? And typically we do not want to even deal with this or even go there by self-disclosing over text. We just don't want to do that. We want to do that on dates. Once we're in date number 3, date number 4, we're saving those big morsels of self-disclosure to exchange equally with the guy at that point. We're not doing this over text, okay? So there's that. There's you revealing your personal experiences and history to him. Self-disclosure also can be moments where you're disclosing your feelings toward that specific man, okay? So there's really a two-pronged sort of thing going on here. When we're disclosing how we feel about someone, that is gonna be a process that you're gonna have to gauge and feel out with him when you're face-to-face. So for example, if you're getting closer to that exclusivity talk, you know, we're getting into that, you know, you've been dating for a couple months and you just really have caught the vibe for one another and you don't really want to see other people, that's the exclusivity conversation. That's you self-disclosing to him that you don't want to see other people and him doing that with you. You don't want to be asking those types of questions over text, you know, where you're just really kind of heavy-handed with him, writing those long text paragraphs and just basically spewing your heart to him over text. So please be wary of that. Now, number 7 is what I call the radio silence text. Now, what is this type of text? Well, now we talked about this a little bit before when we were talking about the status check-in text, but this is gonna hit the nail more on the head in terms of really trying to manage a moment or time with him. A guy just not hitting your expectations, and maybe he's ghosted you for a while, so hence the radio silence element. If you notice a guy's dropped off the map, he doesn't really have a lot that he needs to explain to you in the beginning, and you don't have to explain much to him about your work schedule or the fact that you're going on vacation if you've just been getting to know this guy for a couple weeks. So it's one of these moments where you're really prying into kind of his space by trying to figure out and manage his own expectations about what you expect in terms of him getting back to your texts. So if you think a man is ghosting you, okay? If you really feel it necessary, if you really like the guy, and let's just say it's been like 4 days or something like that, send one text, just one. Don't hit him over the head with 5 texts back to back. Just say, hey, stranger, hadn't heard from you for a couple days, hope you're well. Something really basic and simple like that is all that is really necessary. It's when you start henpecking and you two have no agreement, verbal agreement, and you don't have the investment yet to be mandating what the other person is gonna be doing and when they should be getting back to you. That's the radio silence text, when you break the silence and you impose yourself with repeated text back to back. And text number 8 is what I call the rapid fire text. This goes along with some of that enthusiasm that I talked about on the second text we talked about, the overenthusiastic text. This is where you rapid fire information about your day or your time with your girlfriends or just some, you know, irrelevant event event that doesn't specifically pertain to the two of you, either going out on a date or something, it's information that a guy just doesn't need to hear, especially if you're just getting to know him. These are the types of texts where you're super into a conversation that you'd share with your girlfriends or your mom, right? Or like family members. It's not gonna be the all the bullet points of your day where he doesn't even have a moment to like slip in, a response to anything that you've written. You're just kind of bulldozing him with a bunch of texts. And it's just one of those moments where is this person even, did they even know I'm on the other end of this phone? It can kind of feel disrespectful in a little ways. So this really comes down to more texting etiquette. Just know who's on the other end of the phone and manage the information appropriately and package it appropriately for the person that you're speaking to. Again, I want to just really restate and reiterate, less is more when it comes to texting men. So do me a favor, go ahead in comments right now and let me know if you've ever sent these texts and the type of response you ended up getting from a guy. Did he ghost you? Did he breadcrumb you? Was there something that wasn't on this list that you realized maybe you shouldn't have done? Just let us know in comments. We'll get a great conversation going. Also, be sure to check out those 2 online conferences that I'm involved with this month. You'll find the links in the description below. We've got the Relationship Super Conference that's starting today on Monday, October 4th, going to October 10th. And we also have the Attract Your Right Guy online summit with my dear friends Antia and Brody. We've got 2 completely separate discussions, both 45 minutes long, going on in each of those conferences. The events are 100% free. You just have to click the links below to register properly for it. And I hope you enjoy. Feel free to comment and get involved in those conversations that we're having as well. And as always, I really appreciate all of you stopping by today. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.